Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Community Development Advisory Committee. Tonight, the committee's meeting in person at the Great Highlands Municipal Office, the main office. I'm Coordinator Thompson, and I will call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. The second item on today's agenda is the election of the chair and the vice chair for the 2025 year. And I will be facilitating the process on behalf of the committee. The process will be as follows. I will start with the position of chair. I will call 3 times for nominations. Each nomination shall require a seconder. The nominee is allowed to nominate him or herself. However, a seconder is still required. Once I have called 3 times for the position of chair, I will close nominations and verify that the nominees wish to let their name stand. If there is only one nominee, that person shall be acclaimed. If more than one nominee, a secret ballot vote shall commence. I will then repeat the process for the position of vice chair, and when the election is complete, I will hand the chair over to the newly elected or appointed chair. Does anyone have any questions before we into the election? Not seeing any. So at this time, I will declare that the floor is open for nominations for the position of chair.
I wish to nominate Councilor Beautification.
Thank you.
A second that.
Nomination by Member Wiggins, seconded by Member Booker. Thank you. I'll call a second time for nominations for the position of chair. And I'll call a third and final time for nominations for the position of chair. Seeing no further nominations, Member Dubick, you wish to let your name stand for the position of chair?
I will let it stand.
Thank you. Member Dubick, at this time, you have been acclaimed to the position of chair. Moving on to the election for vice chair, the floor is now open for nominations.
I would like to nominate Kathy Fraser.
Is there a seconder? Member Dubick? I'll call a second time for nominations for the position of vice chair. And I'll call a third and final time for nominations for the position of vice chair. Seeing no further nominations, Member Fraser, do you wish to let your name stand? Thank you, Member Fraser. You have been acclaimed to the position of vice chair for the 2025 year. At this time, I will pass the chair to Trudy.
Great, thank you so much, Danielle. Okay, so we are now on item number 3, so that's the approval of the agenda. So this is the agenda when we last met on back in October of 2024. Oh, sorry.
No, it's the agenda.
Oh, the agenda. Sorry, I was already looking at the minutes. I apologize. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the agenda first. Would anybody like to move the agenda or how many changes? Removing it as is. Okay, we have a seconder. Thank you, Doug. So is it okay? So I'm very happy to be called Nadia. I know at some of our committees, our community committees, we take it a little bit less formal and we go by our first name. So I'm very happy to be called Nadia. At this meeting, if everybody's comfortable me using their first names, is that okay? Seeing nods around the table, so great. So let's do that. So thank you very much, Doug. So we are on the agenda as presented. Any discussion? So I see none. We'll take that to vote. Those in favor? And that is approved. Thank you so much. So moving to item number 4, declaration of pecuniary interest. Anything to declare at this point in time? So I see none. You may always declare any items as we go through the agenda if needed. Number 5 now, approval of the minutes. So it reads that the Community Development Advisory Committee approved the minutes of the 2024 October 9 as presented or as amended. May I have a mover? Diane, as presented? So yes, and Doug, thank you. Seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Great, so there is none, so we'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, now getting to the subcommittee reports. The first one, 6.1, is the Flesherton Beautification and Improvement Committee. Kathy, would you like to say anything at this point, or we'll just need the motion?
It's actually me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Doug. Flesherton, sorry, Doug. Oh, sorry. Doug.
Yeah, no, fine the way it stands. Just to point out that hopefully this meeting will be nice and short because our monthly meeting for the FBIC starts at 7 o'clock, so.
Good to know. Nice to know your timetable. It looks like, you had some events going on. Any questions for Doug about some of the events with Flesherton?
I have, with the new construction now in Flesherton, are you able to put the big boxes back out on 10? Or did you have to alternate a different place for them, or did you ever have flower boxes along in front of like the gate restaurants and stuff like that?
Yes, we did, and they were late getting out, I think, because of the construction. It seemed to take forever to wrap up and remove the pylons and stuff, so I think it was probably into July before we got the boxes out onto the sidewalk. But and yes, I think like the issue there is one of the watering, the municipality was doing the watering, and to be able to park safely and be able to water the plants and so on had to wait. But yes, we got them out, and we plan to, as it says in the note there, we've got plans to put more boxes out of the railing boxes. A new sidewalk was put in with a railing, and other than the fact that it's already been at the end of it taken off by a truck, it's we won't. It's a bad corner, and we won't be putting the boxes right out that far close to the corner, but we will be putting some boxes along the side there too. That's kind of a not particularly attractive building right beside it, so hopefully the flowers will kind of soften things a little.
I wanted to let you know, your flowers during the spring and summer and fall are quite nice. And then when you flip the boxes over for your Christmas stuff like that, it really makes it look attractive and stuff like that. Visitors are commenting, oh, they took the flowers out, but they put pine in. And one lady wanted to know if it was plastic. I said, no, it's not plastic, it's real stuff. So people that are going through the village are saying that and that. And when you talk about the trucks to water the flowers, I don't know if there is a sign on those vehicles saying this vehicle makes frequent stops. And that, because I know there's traffic's moving it around, but it's just a suggestion that if there's that sign, you see it in other places so that people know it's going to be dinner. Just a thought.
And so staff has maybe some comment on that.
Sure, thank you through you, Chair, to the committee. Just a slow moving vehicle sign, or a triangle. Probably information I can provide with that.
Okay, thank you. Great, thank you for that, Sharon. Any other comments or questions
Just wanted to make a further comment on the pinery, the pines and cedar boughs that get put out there. We actually have Councillor Alton and his wife Wilda who thought that idea up and followed through with it and put them out each year. So kudos to them.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, great. So the motion reads that the Community Development Advisory Committee will receive the FBIC report for information. Doug, would you like to move that?
Sure, yes.
You, a seconder? It'll be the other Doug for the seconder. Any further discussion? As I see none, I'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is moved unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.2 is Priceville. Would you like to provide a bit of a highlight?
Sure. I think we had a great year on the ice rink this year. One thing that we can say, based on the weather stayed cold all through the January, February, which kept it open almost 50 days or over 50 days, I guess, with this sale we had before Christmas. We're already planning this year's cleanup day, Canada Day, and our remembrance services for November. And our other focus this year is going to be on the hall, with the hope that we get funding or put it on the agenda for funding through the municipality for next year's budget. This year, it isn't finalized yet, but the engineer drawings are completed. And once we have those, then I think that our pressure push will be to actually start doing more fundraising, looking at grants and making sure that we can head towards that accessibility project for Maxwell. We already have raised a fair amount of money, so it should be a no-brainer, hopefully.
Is that mostly just the entranceway, or is that also?
It's going to be a ramp. It's a drawing that encompasses extending the roof line on the west side and then going up, going down, and having a washroom at the back on the top side. Because right now there's no washrooms in the upper floor, so it needs that to make it accessible.
Yeah, I do believe council received drawings of that addition maybe about a year ago.
Yeah, we just met with the lady in Monsanto that completed the drawing just a week or so ago, and there's some slight revisions, but
Okay,
for the most part, it looks like it's getting down to the wire.
great. That's great news. So any comments or questions? No, okay, so we'll take that. So we'll write up the motion for that. But the Community Development Advisory Committee received the Priceville Improvement Committee report for information. So Deb, will you move that?
Sure.
Thank you, and a seconder. Kathy?
Yeah.
We'll mix up a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, any final discussion? Yeah, I see none, we'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, so we're moving to item 6.3, Friends of the Rocklyn Arena. Again,
So we meet monthly and discuss the things that we think that need improvement in the hall or the arena. And we have a pie booth at the Rocklyn Fair. And those donations and money raised go to upgrading in the hall and the arena too, if it needs. The municipality has had a budget of things that need to be done in the hall, and we have helped with some of the things that needed to be done and allowed the dehumidifier. I think it's installed now. I don't know if it is in but was it there last time?
I'm not sure if it.
I don't know. It wasn't there the last time.
Yeah.
It's to be installed.
Yeah.
So as to save the wood floor for dances in the hall, instead of redoing the whole floor. And then there's a subcommittee of the friends that meet monthly for the Father's Day classic car and tractor show, which we're ramping up for in June. And just some dates are April 3rd to 6th, so tonight is opening night of Squirrel Lake from Rocklyn County Theater, Country Theater. Then we have a trivia night on May 3rd. Our show is June 15th, and Rocklyn Fair is September the 27th.
And I think for, if anybody wants still to get a theater ticket, I think they still can, if there's still some.
Markdale Flowers
Or
or
some flowers. If you don't have your tickets, come on out and, I'll be further also lit.
Sunday show is sold out, so that's just, if you can get there by 7:30 tonight. Or Friday and Saturday.
Right, so that's how quickly we wrap up here. Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Diane?
All I know is people come from far away for the annual classic car and tractor show and that. And there's really good food that's already here. Because you have the breakfast,
Yes,
yeah,
brunch.
brunch, yeah.
Yes, that is, it is a big hit. All right, any other comments or questions? Yep, okay, so, I'll just read the motion for that. That the Community Development Advisory Committee receive the Friends of the Rocklyn Arena report for information. Diane, you'll do that. Thank you. And a seconder. Kathy, thank you. Final comments? I see none, so I'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? Great, that is moved unanimously. Thank you. The next report up is Markdale Recreation Committee.
Just highlighting a few things that went on since our last meeting. We did have the Halloween food bash again. The parade got canceled, but they did do the holiday event. And we had a booth at that, which was well received. And then Family Day, even with the terrible weather we did have that day, we did manage to sweep it in before the weather got bad. And there was a lot of turnout to that Friday night, but I think they wanted to stay close to home just because of that weather. So I'm just working on some projects. Food booth and some arena improvements, helping with some of those. Or the outdoor food booth as well. The Rivers Village Association are back on board for that project, so that's a good thing, and then we'll be having a project manager there to help move that one forward. It got torn down a few years ago because of regulations and the cement was huge and cracked, so we just couldn't continue with the way it was. So just for different circumstances, it never got rebuilt, so we are getting it rebuilt. And then just looking forward to meeting with the group that got the rec master plan for King Edward Park and seeing what happens with that. So I don't know if that's appropriate time now or if that's something later, if there's any news about that. Or
So that's a great question. Is that something we can maybe just pass it down to in terms of where we're at? It was the last, I guess, once a month, council had approved the consultant for the
Yeah, I guess, we have, the consultant was approved now in the absence of manager and a director in that department. We're just setting up the first meeting, so the first kickoff meeting with the consultant and staff will be April 8th, I believe, so, we don't have a manager and a director there yet. So, us as S&T are gonna kind of take that on and do whoever needs to be there at the time. We'll meet with them, kind of set up a plan, get started. And then when the new hires start, they can kind of take it and carry on.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So more to come. We're just getting started once we hear, and this is just a good reminder in terms of where our recreation team is. We do have 2 positions that we are filling for a director and for a manager, and the team is a little bit lean right now, but, you know, like you're from an operational perspective, things are moving well, in terms of operations. And, you know, once we get the 2 hires in, then we can get more traction on these projects, and get them going. Great, so more to come on the, on the park, because that is a very exciting component, you know, in terms of creating, you know, gathering space for Markdale. And of course, you know, the public will, you know, have their say as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so any questions or discussions, for Kathy?
We mentioned we did do the extra too, and it was a better year because actually when we started it, I swore it was not gonna again. And then we had a great year, so now I don't know how we're doing.
Next year,
I know,
clean up what was there.
yeah.
It was still nice to hear about that, even though the weather was uncontrollable, unimaginable. We were still able to support these functions with families coming. And that, and I think I heard from one couple that said, the kids said we're going, well, I can't see, I don't care, Dad, we're going, so it was, that's good that we're thinking of that.
And yes.
Yeah, well done. Great, okay, so I'll just read up the motion. That the Community Development Advisory Committee received the Markdale Preparation Committee report for information. Happy with that? Thank you, and Amy seconder, Doug. Thank you, Doug from Priceville. Any further discussion? I see none, so we'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so we are on item 6.5, subcommittee reports not received on time for the agenda. So Eugenia, Maxwell, Hall, Osprey, and Feversham.
I
So,
think,
yeah,
both you
share
that,
that.
and I can also do a little statement on Maxwell Hall.
Perfect, yes.
So, we actually just, in Eugenia for Gold Rush this year, we were trying to figure out the date, but it's set now for Saturday, June 28th. It's kind of considered the long weekend, with Canada Day being into the next week. They always used to have it the 3rd Saturday, but they wanted to have it after the kids were done school. That seems to be that time with that. And they're doing 2 things. We are returning the annual pancake breakfast and yard sale at the United Church on Robert Street. We did that for years, and then some of our personnel or people got older. But we have 10 new people that will help make pancakes. And we always used to serve them on the front lawn, or saying, no, it's gonna be in the basement of the church, in the fellowship hall. So we're doing that, so that's the Saturday morning from 8 to 11. And at the same time, the other half of the yard will be our annual yard sale. We've done a yard sale every summer, and usually we do it, the money from that go to a family from fire or stuff like that. So, this year we haven't got a full thing, but possibly the Mountain family that lost their house to fire in February. And that, the month must be going for that. Also, they're considering having a community block party. So, we don't know if it's gonna happen, but they would like to block one part of the street so that you come and they're here, and little yard sales or something on the front of people's lawns. But, because of the fire route and that, we're trying to decide, but it's going to be beside the community park, where Gold Rush will be at the community park, that Ingerman, Canrock, Hellister Street and Evans Street kind of go around. So, we want to make sure that families are welcome to come. We've also set a fund aside that families that are come, but you know they can't afford. So we're having people donate money so that those families still can enjoy that. They're having their events again on the outside the ball diamond. And they're gonna have the gold rush little trains that run up and down the streets, bouncing castles, and painting for gold. And then they're having a bike parade and a gold miner costume contest. You'll get a copy of this. That. And they're having, the Burger Brewery is doing food for the first part of the day, and the Flying Chestnut is doing food for the later part of the day. And the beer gardens will not open until 3 p.m. this year. Previous years we opened up at 11 a.m., but they want the families to have more time when the beer gardens are going to be just different. And then they're doing their silent auction. Belt sander races. If you've never seen that, that is so hilarious. They have to have 100-foot extension cord, and they put pieces of wood down, and they run the different types of Ryobi and all the different brands of belt sanders, hook it in, and they go like crazy. And they all bet which product's going to win and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat in that. Lion dancing, they're having that done this year, and they're having two groups that will be doing the music. R&R will be the first part of the evening, and Board, BORED of Education are doing the evening set. And it will stop at 10 p.m. and that. So that, but we're still figuring that stuff. In regards to the outdoor rink, Ron Barnett had come to council in January asking for us to have a different place instead of being on the community ballpark diamond at the boat launch. So they did have the rink up and people did skate, and then like everybody else, we had those couple days of mild weather, but not enough, but it just it was there and everybody went out and tried it. So it was nice that the municipality plowed the parking lot, so we had access to that. And did the salt right near the ice rink, but it allowed safe parking, entrance in and entrance out. So that was muchly appreciated. And they had put snow fence around the ice rink to make sure that, and there was a picnic table and stuff. The boat launch, we will start selling tickets the Friday of the long weekend, 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's kind of thing, we've been asked to have stacks, and they do take information of what size of boat, what size of motor, and stuff like that, for people coming in and using the lake. But it is hard, and I'll be shot down about this, it's really hard to get those final stats when homeowners and cottage owners that are around Lake Eugenia, that there's 350 around, have their boats in before the May 2-4 weekend, so they don't have to even have that information. So we cannot take that information. But they want the boat launch to be clean, workable, and I said there almost needs to be that maintenance information that they need to use the boat launch to get their boats in and to get them out. But when they're having it that 2 companies get their boots in before we have staff there. So it's something to consider. So we can never give that accurate information of how many boats, how many houses, like all those pontoon boats that are actually on the lake. So I don't know if anything can be done, but that explains why we're unable to say what the actual amount is. And like residents, they get a card that upgrade Highlands, there's no fee to it, but we know what their what their type of boat size, because some of those boats, they're like 200 horse outboard motors. So when they're trying to put their boats up onto their trailer, they're gunning it with a hole. Mr. Moyer, you'll see that the hole is like huge, because then all the ground is pushed up, so you got a deep hole in that. So if people load certain boats, they're getting caught on that gravel that's been pushed up from the big boats.
So, okay.
Yeah, so that is just something, if we can figure out something, I know they don't want to have to pay, but I still feel it's a maintenance. We need to get it in and get it out, so that council and the group are aware.
Right.
And that, That's what I was gonna that. And for Maxwell Hall, they have went through, the tenders for, a company to come in to put fire resistant drywall, that is the right, Luca? And, they have about, we just don't know the time frame when that will help. They do have bookings, but they're gonna adjust the bookings for that. And by the time it's done, they're gonna take stuff out and do it, and that, they're gonna be a 2.5 week window, maybe 3 weeks. And that, so they're doing that, and then they're upgrading the kitchen. The kitchen cupboards, I found it, my husband's grandfather made the cupboards that were in the Maxwell Hall cupboards in the kitchen. They're repainting and they're, but it was, when you get looking, there's the old cupboards, and then when they did the kitchen back in the 80s, they put the next set of cupboards on top. So they're taking them all apart, and they're looking for contracts to upgrade, repair the bowling alley and the body piece. That, I guess there's 3 or 4 lanes, and they need some touch ups and stuff like that, and there isn't very many local companies from. I found one and it was Hamilton, I found another one and it said New Brunswick. But the bowling league is there Monday to Friday, it's all winter long, and then people are using the hall. The one night there was dancing upstairs, there was a meeting in the kitchen, and there was bowling in the basement. They did tell us that in January, a year ago January, there was 9 bookings. This past January, there was 47 or 49 bookings. So that is a big improvement, very used a lot, and they have increased their rentals to adjust for king. Any questions?
That was great. So thank you, Sharon, for bringing the Eugenia and Maxwell Hall updates. Any questions or discussion with Sharon? Please.
What would happen if you actually closed off the boat launch until they open it on a gradual basis for cottage owners first? That would control Nick.
Well,
Might be unhappy about it.
oh well, I had other ideas. But they're the first ones to complain that we didn't have the floating dock, made sure it was repaired, and you could tie your boat off on the cleats and stuff like that. And I feel, and we've talked about it, that the staff, we make sure that the staff is there as early as they can, and that they try to that, and people don't want to even pay the fee. People try to put their boats out Friday mornings, and they stay on their boats overnight on Lake Eugenia. And then they come in when there's no staff, because they try to alternate the staff, that cover things. So there's a lot of pollution going on with the yeah, we suggested that the police bring the police boat more often. And that would be out there. Now, if you're out there this week, this is higher than it normally is during the summer because of the water. But we have to be careful what we do, because it's OPG's property. And that, I know when it was cold and they put the fence up to that, people were finding other ways to get over the fence or cut the fence and stuff like that.
So just a question on that. Who is responsible for the boat launch process? Is
That is the Eugenia Improvement Committee Association,
okay?
and they look after staffing and cutting the grass and garbage cleanup and that. The porta potties are through the municipality and that. And when it's near the long weekends, I think they get extra ones in because they ensure that there's a disability one there. And they're used a lot like that. Starting at end of June will be bass tournaments. And there'll be like nothing like 30 or 40 boats out there just for the bass tournaments, stuff like that. It is a busy spot. Like we have the one little pavilion and people are fighting over the pavilion. They go put their stuff on it and then the next family try to move their stuff. But I think it would be really good if our staff were given some type of training how to handle nasty people.
Conflict resolution.
Mhm.
If the municipality had, you know, some of them, they really, really do try, but some people come across very not nice at all. And I didn't know if the municipality has any kind of, training or something that would help. That even if you watch a video or something, just tell them to mess up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have any, supporting, online training that we share.
I think we have it for staff, but if these people are hired by the Eugenia community, for them.
For us to-
I'm sure there's stuff online,
Okay, and that, because we have.
dealing with difficult customers,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
do that training for our frontline.
And, well, everybody says that the staff that are there do a good job at keeping it clean and everything like that.
And just maybe just one more question, for me, so about the ice rink, so it's a new location, is that something that you're looking to continue on in terms of the new location? Was that a good experience overall?
It was a good experience because they could use water from the lake, pump it. At the community park, they were having to buy water to fill, to make the ice rink because we don't have any water source down there. And, I know they would like to pursue again to see about a well there that could be used in that, but, we can't seem to get a definite plan on how the well could be there or stuff like that. But they were able to pump the water from Lake Eugenia.
All right, any further, questions for Sharon? So I see none, so, yes, please.
My apologies for interrupting. Chair Dubik, I did just want to bring to the committee's attention that there was a report submitted by Member Briggs for the Feversham Park Committee, and that will be circulated through the minutes.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so we'll move a motion, that the Community Development Advisory Committee receive the Eugenia and Maxwell Hall reports for information. Sharon, would you like to do that? Thank you. Seconder. Doug, thank you so much. Any further discussion? I see none, we'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is moved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so we're moving to item number 7. So 7.1. So this goes back to our last conversation in October. We had a conversation about community flags. So we'll put this on the floor for discussion. That the Community Development Advisory Committee received Council Resolution 2024-830 for information. May I have a mover? Doug, and a seconder, Sharon. So this is open for discussion. I'll just put this on the floor. Just wondering, maybe just a question to staff, do we have an update? So in terms of the report here, it's, and what's included as the report is the motion that council approved. So council approved recommendation from this committee from last October to ask staff to work with the community, with CDAC and the community members about moving forward with, with banners and to see if we can get a coordinated approach. Now, we've been a little lean on staff thing, and so just wondering maybe if staff has any updates since October.
Actually, I could, there's been, I can't speak for all of the communities, I can only speak for Flesherton. That Mike, before he left, sort of got things organized and brought in Peter Whitehead, the curator of the museum, who has a background in advertising and that sort of thing. So he actually put together some samples of what a sort of, there's a vinyl patch, I guess you could call it, that they will apply to the banners on both sides. And so he provided about a month or so ago, we talked about it in one meeting, and tonight's meeting is to make the final decision on what it will be, but almost positive that they will go ahead with it. We received costing, which was, well, I'm trying to think. I think it was $40 for two sides, so $20 per vinyl patch, and so $40 to do both sides, and we have 12 banners for the community, so $480, and we had allocated 500, so it'll be a little over when we get them the tax, but it's pretty much what we were hoping to spend. And so Peter had some really good ideas, and he was his thought behind it was that he wanted to do something that would be I'll call it a template that could be used by all of the other communities for their banners. Not that they would do exactly the same thing or the same ideas kind of thing, same pictures or words or whatever, but that trying to have a concept. And I think we've settled mostly on sort of a catchy, perhaps two-word phrase that would go on with a colored background kind of a thing. And that's what they were going to be discussing tonight, is what the actual wording will be. But it was all very good. Peter did a pretty good job of keeping things moving, because we were kind of just all up in the air. We talk around things and not get anything done, but Peter actually came up with some concept drawings and focused people's discussions and so on. So it's worked pretty well. So hopefully the decision will be made tonight, and we will. Peter also is in a position to do camera-ready work to submit to Dunwood Signs, and I think, Doug, with your one of the costs associated with it is that Dunwood had to do a lot of the prep work and getting things ready for the picture. But apparently Peter is quite adept at doing it and has all of the information that he needs to be able to provide the I guess it's JPEG or something. I'm not sure exactly what they needed as to be able to produce the banners and get them ready. So hopefully we'll have them ready in the next month and be able to put them up this summer.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Really great news. So that means, so Priceville has their flags up, their banners up.
Yes.
So it sounds like now Flesherton is on its way to sort of develop its banners, and then I guess it would be then rolled out to the other communities. I just wonder, just going to staff to see if there's any other additional information beyond what Doug has already shared.
Thank you, through you, Chair. No, that's right. We have banners at my office. They're ready to go whenever we get that final approval from the design. Peter, again, is incredibly creative when it comes to that kind of stuff. So he was a big help on this job. And just one question for you, Doug. Do you have the poles lined up already? Which ones they're going on?
No.
Okay, I remember hearing some discussion about locations. I wasn't sure if that was something that you're maybe talked about.
We had talked about it and our locates on a couple of them, but there's still the concept of putting up alternating Canadian flags and these banners or whatever. In last year, Canadian flags were done in a sort of a solid row along Highway 10, which just left some spotty places left to put up the new banners. So I think this year when we will definitely get out, we will definitely have plans to which banners go where and which ones are Canadian flags and so on. But the weather hasn't been conducive for us to be out looking at poles and so on. Rob, do you have a schematic which shows which poles are available, or do we just have to go and spot them?
We've been looking. Apparently we have that somewhere, but I'm unable to find it. Continuing to look, apparently it does exist. I'm hoping staff can find it beforehand.
Okay, yeah, because that would be helpful to us to, rather, because I know there are some, the hardware that's on the pole is actually not suitable, and so if we said, oh, well, let's put it here, and then find out that that pole's not really been approved for our purposes. It would be useful if we had that.
Great, thank you. So Kathy and Linda?
Is it the question, the $20, do all the banners have to be the same for that $20 cost, or if you were gonna?
No, apparently not, and that's what's planned, is to do 12 different ones,
Oh, okay.
so. At least that's my understanding of the costing.
Yeah.
I didn't actually get the cost, so, yeah, I think, so, yeah, it's be great, we'll be able to, have different wording throughout town type of thing.
Kathy, follow up? Okay, done.
It sounds like Peter's done some good work for you, because what we ended up doing is just taking a little snapshot, an old picture of the dam or whatever, and then taking it to Dunwood, and they ended up, as you said, making up the actual filling in the white space on the banner, so we might be able to, everyone might be able to save some money if we can use Peter's expertise and
Peter
ask him to take whatever and use it, so, and be interested in knowing what wording you're actually adding to it as well.
Well,
It sounds like-
four of the banners were to actually have pictures on them. That's at the last decision was that right in the downtown core, that we would have some photos on it.
Yes.
Peter wasn't too keen on that. He thought that the photos, they're lovely to look at, and if you're standing beneath them, you can look up and see them, and hey, that's really great, but if you're driving by, meaningless. And so he wants something snappy that's, you know, one word, two words that catch people's attention as they're driving through. So he wasn't actually in favor of us putting some photos on, but the committee wanted to, you know, right by the museum, which happens to be beside the Boyne River. There's a photo of the old bridge when it was built and so on. And so he'd actually taken that out of his archives and put on a sample. So yeah, he can do photos too, although they say he's not really keen on that, just simply because they're not visible when you're driving by. You have to be sort of walking to be able to appreciate them.
Yeah, follow up.
You probably have a bigger problem with people who rush through either 4 and or 10, whereas we have a lot of side streets, which
Right.
is a little bit, I guess, hopefully.
No, I like them. I've been by and so, but I was walking. So
You can see it.
yeah.
We're going to add more route hours, so I'm interested in seeing what we can do. I think we paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 a piece, almost everyone. To have them on both sides, with just pictures, so. We may be able to get something going that's usable by all communities.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. Sharon?
Couple questions. The $20 aside for that does not include the hardware, correct?
Correct.
So where do you get the hardware? Or how do you go about getting hardware? Or do you just go to a local midnight and ask them to make something?
Well, Rob can speak to it better. There was certainly
It was pretty specific hardware. It was purchased, through the municipality, I believe, was last year, the year before.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago. I
Is it that long ago?
remember.
It was specific hardware we needed to operationalize that fence.
So it's different hardware than what they put up the Christmas decorations to? Like welcome.
Yes, yeah, those would be more, larger brackets, the whole loose, the banner brackets are.
Okay, so do we know what cost per pole?
Not off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay,
so there now the hardware was purchased on whatever municipal budget several years ago. But what failed to make the cut in budget times was the monies to install them. And that's what the beautification committee paid to have them installed.
Okay, well, that's my second question. Who did you get to do it and how much did they charge?
Well, we didn't do it, and it was done through the municipality, we simply paid for it. I'm suspecting it's probably Grey Northern or somebody who did it, I don't know.
Because if you were, and I know like for Eugenia, we would probably ask someone if they'd like to donate that flag, like that banner, and for them to, they must well pay for the whole thing, to know what it is as one.
Maybe just a question to staff. Rob, did the municipality pay for the installation? Like, was that part of a budget or maybe?
I don't know off the top of my head, that was just that I was transitioning to Parks and Department, so that was the two.
Okay.
And just for you, like, that would have to be something that would come to budget, I think, before, and then staff could look into it and get pricing, because to get pricing for a couple here or there, it's gonna be a lot more than if you buy a number of them, and, you know. And like Rob mentioned, you wanna make sure they're standardized so that they're all the same, and that whoever's installing them can install them the same way on each place.
Yeah, and wondering if maybe, you know, if Peter would be up to this as the other communities, so that, you know, we can kind of move towards more standardized sort of approach. And then, you know, and then being able to install them also, like, you know, Sean says, you have any thoughts on that?
I just want to mention, it was Hydro one who did the installation of hardware in Flesherton. I know they do also the installation of the Christmas lights as well in Flesherton.
Okay.
Where we did just through an agreement, I don't know if it's an agreement, I can say that, but.
I think there was a previous agreement when Flesherton and Priceville Hydro were sold, that Hydro one continued to do that. I don't know the details of it, I've definitely heard. We're offering being ordered as market. Yeah.
God only a day here.
Okay.
So my thing of that is sort of here, it would be nice to know kind of what the actual cost of, for putting it on the pole, attaching it like on and off, and then the banner itself, because there is smaller communities in Great Highlands that maybe they only could handle one or two, but it would still be given an opportunity for them to feel like they were all into it. Like if they could put shop local, support local, or something like that.
Yeah, and I do believe based on the direction that, you know, council did approve, I think that's part of that motion of that, you know, so how Peter is now helping out Flesherton, and then, you know, we'll continue to then help out the other communities, and then with staff's help, and Sean, we can go from off track here, but, you know, as, you know, given the fact that Peter seems to be a bit of, is the point person right now to maybe help with communities, is that fair?
I think it would be more probably the manager, that, like, so where Mike left, so we're his
Okay.
replacement, and then Peter can kind of figure
Perfect, okay. So, but staff will be taking sort of the lead to make sure that, you know, we'll work with each of the communities. You know, they'll have the price points. And if staff needs to get back to council regarding any budgets, you know, in terms of installation, et cetera, that will then come back to council to support that. Is this out there?
I don't know where it's at and what, like, for looking for new pricing and all that. We'll have to go to the manager and see something that, I don't know if it's on the radar to be adding more or not.
I just to follow up on Doug's comment earlier about Peter, I know in our last meeting with manager, or manager, there was talk about Peter having, Peter being used as an aid for the other communities as well to make a standardized approach and kind of have a branding of sorts for all the banners and all.
Okay, perfect. So then maybe just in terms of roles and responsibilities, it sounds like recreation team manager, would help us sort of the coordination of it, and then Peter will be acting as the designer and,
The creator.
the creator.
Yes.
Okay, and so we'll be working with each of the communities, but really great to see that, Flesherton is on its way, and then, I think it'll be very exciting to see, what Flesherton comes up with. So when you go back to your meeting, it'll be, really fun to see, what you do end up with, and then that will become a bit of a template for everybody else.
Just sort of a final comment, it was our committee actually decided not to go ahead with the banners. But kind of telling Peter that it fell through the cracks, and Peter went ahead and created these samples. And when he showed us the samples, people turned completely around and said, let's do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's today. I think that Maxwell Village is fun. We've been doing it a long time now, with the flags before the municipality got involved with it, and we put them up ourselves. Maybe we shouldn't be, but we do. But we're welcome any other common approach, I think, that makes sense. So it's not cheap to hire, I don't think, Great Northern and Pyro, I'm sure, if they added it to their, it'll be more than you think.
Yeah, well, for sure, it was, I can't even remember how much was set aside. It was like $4,000 or something to, we had actually set aside $4,000 to buy the hardware and install it. And then we learned that the municipality had already purchased the banners and the hardware. And so, but didn't have the money to install them. So that's where the money that we set aside, and I don't know how much of the 4,000 that we'd set aside actually went to the installation.
Sure.
Just one last, is it too much to ask if this information could be found, and I know you're having a hard time with staff and that, to fill in all those things, but it'd be nice for the smaller communities to maybe have an idea so they could start working on getting their fundraising for such.
So if the question is this to get a little bit of a summary.
Perhaps Peter could, or through Danielle, maybe circulate what's actually on the plan. I'm sure it might be worthwhile at a certain point.
Danielle, should that be a motion to ask for that, or is that something that could be easily just shared, maybe from your I don't know, from your meeting notes, or what's the best approach?
For you, Chair Dubek, that's a good question. I don't know if is the information about the installation of hardware, is that something that, no? It's
I
not
have no-
available?
I don't have any information on it other than, was told it was happening kind of a thing, and that we had, I could probably go back and find out how much money was actually involved in the installation, but to throw something out, and that is sort of really for you and council, this wasn't a budget item to purchase these banners some years ago, and it was to be a two-step process. That 1 year they would buy them, and the next year they would install them. And I may be wrong, but my understanding was that they were purchased, but then the next year that budget item to install them was cut, and has not been put forward again. And no, budget times are tough, but it seemed pretty stupid to us that we had these banners sitting in somebody's whatever storage facility, and we paid for them, but we couldn't use them. So again, I'm not sure, but I think it's a bit unfortunate to have these and yet expect each of the individual municipal communities to fund putting them up. If this is something which benefits the municipality as a whole, I think it's really something that council should revisit in terms of funding this installation.
It's so great, so thank you for those comments, Diane.
So are there ones for are there ones for Rocklyn, and do we get a say in what's going on?
I think that's what my thing is, like, I know our smaller communities, Badger's, Maxwell, all these little communities that maybe only have one or two poles, but you still would like the opportunity to.
Yeah, we use them.
Yeah.
And how long have they been in storage, and what's the?
Yeah, and so I think, Diane, so great question, and so we do understand that, you know, the flags, the banners have been purchased for the, you know, hamlets, including Rocklyn. So I think in terms of next steps, you know, Flesherton is sounding like it's sort of the first, call it, pilot, or, you know, sort of the first step in terms of, you know, kind of going through the process and establishing a bit of a template approach, you know, and then we can move forward. So I think
But how many years is it gonna be in budget?
Yes, so I think there's two pieces to it. We do have the banners. So the banners are there. The next steps are to actually design the banners, and so it's like, you know, $20, you know, per sign, so $40, you know, per banner. And then the installation, so Danielle, to me, it's like a staff report, because I think we do need some coordination here, so that, you know, all the communities sort of have the support. And, you know, getting a, I think what I've heard is getting a summary of all the costs, and sort of the expectation of, you know, with communities expected to manage certain costs versus, you know, the municipality. Because it does sound like the community has been picking up the tab for the, putting the images on, is what it's sounding like right now. But then there's the whole, you know, the process of installation and managing that, which, you know, sort of hearing from staff, you know, it probably makes a lot more sense to do it as a centralized process versus, you know, trying to do that. So does that make sense then, Danielle, to kind of come back to the staff report?
There you, a staff report I think would be an option. My thought process is perhaps that, because this committee only meets every 6 months.
Yeah.
A staff report back to the committee might not be ideal because we'll already be, you know, later into the year.
Yeah.
I do wonder if the committee would want to make a recommendation for council to direct staff to report directly back to the subcommittees, just wanting to clarify specifically the information that the committee would be looking for, cost per vinyl overlay and a cost per installation for the community flags, for fundraising purposes, fundraising information purposes. Is that?
And a description of the flag, the length, width.
Including hardware.
Including hardware?
Yeah.
And I guess how many has been, like, they're purchased, so how many are allotted to the community, so then they know how many's coming.
Okay.
So maybe an inventory of what we have already, for which communities.
You said they had some.
Yeah, I think it's only right for Markdale. Flesherton to have the battery. I'm guessing
I think you're right.
There was actually a couple installed in Eugenia, because I remember driving up 13 and seeing them.
Yeah.
You're right.
That was used at that, the new ones?
Yeah.
On that, I think it was Gold Rush in that.
No, they're very plain. They just say, "Welcome to Eugenia."
The big white texting.
Big white.
The name of the block.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, because they were like the ones in question.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something that, half the time people didn't even notice it.
That's really wasn't anything to notice. I mean, it just blank banner.
Which are lovely. Yes. Danielle, do you have a motion first, maybe have some readers? So Sharon was just saying she wants, she likes having things structured, and absolutely, I think for the committee, it's very helpful to make sure that, we do have a understanding on paper, so thank you.
once the brackets are on the poles, it's a pretty simple process to put them up, because you put the banner on the pole, top to bottom, let it in, put the bulkhead bottom, top, and it's pretty
So when you
simple.
say installation, it's just getting the hardware on the pole and then.
Yes,
That's the big start, yeah.
Okay,
installing the hardware was the expensive part.
up and down.
Light bulb, you know, I know they, like, trap.
Through the chair, that the Community Development Advisory Committee recommend that council direct staff to provide information to the subcommittees with the fall. Provide information to the subcommittees relating to the community flags for fundraising. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. My apologies, typing and reading at the same time. That the Community Development Advisory Committee recommend that council direct staff to provide the following information to the subcommittees relating to the community flags for fundraising planning purposes. Cost per vinyl overlay, cost per installation, including hardware, and current inventory of flags per community.
Is there any other information? Sound good?
Yeah, it's great.
Great.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but maybe there are more poles, more brackets. Yeah.
So maybe we can get that as per the inventory.
Yeah.
Rockets and work. Okay, perfect. So we'll get a mover for that. Doug, thank you. A seconder. Sharon. There we go. Any further discussion on that item? Doug, please.
We use the same banner sizes and the pole put on, veterans. I remember it saying, well, earlier, so. It uses a dual purpose and around the center top and down Main Street.
Very nice.
Yes, the banners, whatever the hardware installation handles the flags as well. It's identical size, so we can actually have different things interchanged and use different things at different times of the year.
So we'll take that to those in favor. Great, that is carried unanimously. Okay, so we are moving on to item H, members' privilege. Is there anything that you may want to share that you haven't already? So I'm not seeing anything. Okay, so then we'll move along to item number 9. So the next meeting, our next meeting is Thursday, October 2nd. It's at 6 p.m. So it's here at the Highlands Municipal office. So it's in person only. So please do mark that off in your calendars. And then we're just at adjournment then. But the Community Development Advisory Committee adjourn until the next meeting or until the call of the chair. And it is 7:09. May I have a mover? Diane, seconder, Kathy. Sure. Fantastic. Okay, those in favor? And that is moved. Thank you so much for coming tonight. But of course,